So we've got a rematch, and I'm going to give myself some homework to do, and I'm going to post a video in which I look at conference championship game history rematches to see if there's any trends that we can find in regards to the team that lost in the regular season coming back to win. And then you got to be careful with putting too much in a given metric because you got to look at each situation and who was the better team in the regular season, blah, 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 but to see if there's anything there. Ohio State is definitely the better team. They won by 31. They're a 16-point favorite in the Big Ten championship game. Kevin, is there any reason to believe that it's going to be any different in an impactful way in Indianapolis?
Short answer, no. I mean, it's going to be they played in less than stellar weather conditions in Columbus. While this game is not going to be in Columbus, according to something I read from Joey Kaufman from the Dispatch, according to one of the ticket vendors, they're saying something along the lines of 93% Ohio State fans, 7% Wisconsin fans. You know, that seems a little high, but let's just even say it's 80-20. It's going to be a definite partisan Ohio State crowd. It's not going to be a case of where this isn't Northwestern busing over their entire student body or whatnot. It's a fast track. Ohio State's Justin Fields is not going to be the runner in this game, really, with the bigger knee brace on and whatnot. I look for J.K. Dobbins to have a big game on the ground. I think Ohio State is going to go out and is going to beat them even worse this time around. I think Wisconsin will figure some things out, but in 14 and 17, Wisconsin wasn't able to run the ball with its premier back against the Buckeyes, and they're not going to be able to do it here in 19. I like Ohio State big.
Yeah, the fast track. I mean, Justin Fields said after the first game that with better conditions, Ohio State probably would have put up 50. So now he has to go out and prove it. He's not going to be the runner that Ohio State would maybe prefer, but as long as they can protect him and keep him upright, and I think that's going to be the big key is just if he doesn't need to run it, he'll have the big brace on. Just let him throw the ball and hand it off, and that should be enough. J.K. Dobbins has yet to be stopped by anybody. That the only person that has contained J.K. Dobbins this year is Ryan Day. When he takes him out of a game, he's the only guy that has been able to do that this year. And even if they do contain him a little bit, this is still going to be – I mean, we saw it with the last time they played in the Big Ten championship game where Ohio State's speed was just much better. And you see Terry McLaurin going long and big plays left and right. And this is an Ohio State offense that first time playing in good conditions in about a month. They're all looking forward to it. I would expect that they'll be quicker and faster, but also Jonathan Taylor will be as well. He had to play in those same bad conditions, but I think in 2 games now he has rushed for a total of 92 yards against Ohio State, which is about probably 50 or 60 under his per game average in his career. So if they can hold him under 92 yards this week, I think they'll win big, and they should win big enough to once again impress the committee.
Kevin, you made a comment earlier that you had expected J.K. Dobbins to I want you to clarify. Do you expect him just to have big production against Wisconsin like he did against Michigan and Penn State, or do you expect him to carry the ball? You mentioned over 30 times the last 2 weeks to get that kind of workload again.
I think 30 is very much in play there. I mean, they've definitely against their last 2 opponents and great run defenses like Penn State and Michigan. I mean, they've had to give it to him more. We haven't had as much of the rotation with Master Teague. I mean, he's had a little spot duty, but I think, I definitely think this could be a 33 carry game, 3 touchdowns, $175, $180. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if it's 200. And I'm basing that just off of the sheer fact of what did Ohio State run for against Wisconsin on a soggy track? Was 264 or something like that. So I don't feel like I'm really getting out of the realm of realism there. Plus 2, I think that if this ends up being a 4-quarter game, which I'm not convinced it's going to be, they're going to keep him in there a lot longer. And once that Ohio State offensive line really starts leaning on the Wisconsin front, I think the holes are going to be there, and he's going to just be able to take it off and have like a Zeke Elliott type of game.
Yeah, and keep in mind this is an offensive line that believes they are the best in the conference, and They don't like the fact that Wisconsin gets some of that credit. And they certainly, none of them like the fact that Jonathan Taylor was named the Big Ten running back of the year when they all believe that JK should have won the award. And when you see what they did head to head, there was no doubt who the better running back was on that day. Of course, JK was not going against the Ohio State defense. I believe he was only going against maybe the number one rush defense in the nation at the time. But there is some of that, just that whole pride factor where they want to prove, and we saw it the first time. They wanted to come out and prove who the best run game was. And with this game being maybe more on JK than Justin Fields because of that knee and not wanting to involve him in that running game, yeah, I could see 20 carries in the first half pretty easily, and then whatever else they need after that. I mean, you've got a few weeks off before your next game.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the good thing, is that they can sell out, players can sell out, and they don't have another tough game coming. And that leads me to this question. So they sell out against Penn State. By all indications, it was a hard-hitting game that they had to play really well, and that was the first big opponent that they had played in several weeks. So they sell out for Penn State. You're always going to sell out for Michigan, so there's always concern, can a team get up for another big game the week after a big game? But when it's Michigan, they, of course, sell out again 3 weeks in a row. They got to get ready for a third consecutive difficult opponent. Now, they didn't get taken to the wire last week, but it was emotional. They put it all on the line. They played hard. It was a game at 2 scores with whatever in the fourth quarter. To an extent, I'm stretching it, I know, but it was a tough physical game. It was a big opponent, and it was obviously emotional. So it is a third consecutive game they got to get up for.
It's a big ask. I mean, but I think, and I don't want to sit there and compare, 18 to 20 and 21-year-olds to the NFL, but I mean, you sit there and you get into the playoffs and whatnot, and you got to go week to week to week and win these types of games. So, I mean, it's not unprecedented, but I mean, we're talking about younger players who are student athletes and got a lot of stuff going on, exams and whatnot. But, Ohio State, I mean, I think it's more of a concern of Ohio State not just sitting there putting in the tape of the first Wisconsin game and looking at that too much and saying, well, we already got these guys beat. I mean, I would rather them worry about having to get up and be able to sit there and do this for a third consecutive week, other than saying, well, we're just going to show up and be 31 points better.
And Ryan Day has talked about this week and in the past, explaining to his team they've been gearing up for these 3 games all season long. This was the plan. And so he said, I think it was today on his radio show, that they'll be ready because this has been the plan all along, and they have been preparing, setting their sights on these 3 games, knowing how difficult it was going to be. And so they've been ready for that, gearing up for that, and this is part of the plan. And yeah, it's going to be tough. And I think over the years, you talk to the players after the Wisconsin game, and it's always the one where they feel it the most. But maybe that's best. Maybe it's a good thing that's the last game rather than the first game. And yeah, there's going to be some hard hitting, but like we said, three weeks to rest. But it's not out of the blue that this game is here. It's been on their schedule. They put it on the schedule in the building, the Big Ten championship game. So it's not a wish like like on Michigan's walls. It's like, hey, dare to dream. If everything goes perfectly, we can play. No, this is just the 13th game every year for Ohio State, and that's the way they look at it. Now, the Big Ten does them no favors by putting Penn State ahead of Michigan. They don't treat their teams like the SEC does and gives them, some breaks here and there. So, yeah, it's a 3-game stretch that they've been preparing for, and it's one of the most difficult in the nation. But, that's where they're at Ohio State.
Anthony Manzano, you sent me a question. I appreciate you sending a question and restating it. I just don't understand it. So that's why we're not answering it. I just don't know what you had to say. Something about athletic directors and coaches, and it made no sense to me. So, Anthony, maybe I'm just not reading it correctly. Take your question, reword it, send it to the comments section. I'll address it at some point. All right, let's get a score out of you two.
Before Kevin goes, I will.
You don't accuse me of stealing yours.
All right, you gonna let me go?
Yes.
I'm gonna go 45 to 21. I think Wisconsin does a little bit better on offense. Jonathan Taylor maybe hits a big one. Sean Wade still a little bit dinged up. We'll see how that goes. We'll play a bunch of 4 linebacker sets, but yeah, I like 45-21. Try to keep Justin Fields healthy. Kevin, go.
Well, the way I look at it, I've already said Ohio State big, and I'm picking a much bigger score. I picked for the first time around, I picked 38-17, so I was right on the 38. I was, gave them a little too much credit on offense. So I'm going to, they are playing indoors. Justin Fields said, we can get to 50. I'm not picking 50, but I'm going to get really close to it, though. Ohio State has done a great job of taking Wisconsin running backs out of games, be it in Columbus, Madison, Indianapolis, Mars, wherever. The Badgers aren't going to have A.J. Taylor. It sounds like the only guy who put up any points against them last week. That's going to be a big hit. Is Quintez Cephas and Jake Ferguson going to be able to do enough? Or are they going to try and jet sweep Ohio State to death? The Buckeyes better be ready for all that. When it's all said and done, though, I think Ohio State's defense is going to come out there with something to prove, give up a few more points, but I like it in the range of 49-13.
You can get my selection on the Big Ten championship game and the rest of the Power 5 games. And heck, I'll pick them all. Why not? All 10 conference championship games, since there's nothing else to select this week. 12-8 against the spread last week. That's 60%, close to 60% on the season against the spread, 78% straight up. So grab the link in the description section below of any of the videos. And forget the predictions. It's beyond that. Just join our community there. Get the exclusive live stream each and every week. Tony Gerdeman from the Ozone, Kevin Noon from Rivals Buckeye Grove. These guys do an exceptional job and donate to us basically an hour plus of their time each and every week. So please, in the future, consider showing them some appreciation by getting over to their sites. And of course, like, comment, share the videos, and subscribe. Right here, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Guys, enjoy the game. The trip to Indianapolis, what's it about? I'm going to guess about 2 hours and 15 minutes. No?
I live on the east side of Columbus, and if I really hammer it, I can get there in about 3 hours. I've done it. Okay. I've done it a little bit less, but don't tell the popo.
Yeah, no, it's about 2:45, 3, depending on where the hotel is. Yeah.
Okay, I've never made that drive. I was just spitballing it.
And construction on 70 is not always great.
There's always construction in Ohio. You can count on that. Orange barrels all over the place.
Gotta love it.
All right, guys. Appreciate you stopping by, of course.
Absolutely.
Anytime.